Welcome to a tech tip about Kahoot. Now, the first thing I want to show you about Kahoot is if you have the premium account, you may need to switch your account. Every school in the Oakmont network has access to premium Kahoot, so you have unlimited access. And I do encourage you to explore that content. But today I'm going to talk about the basics of how do we create a Kahoot. I'm going to go ahead and click Create, and I'm just going to choose a Kahoot. Now, I am not creating a Kahoot from nothing. I am going to use a course activity that the math department is using. So I'm going to go ahead and click Generate from this course activity. And I actually want this to be a micro lesson. I don't actually want this to just be a quiz. I really want the lesson to be part of it. So this is how I create a lesson. So this is a lesson that's going to go along with the course activity, and it's going to automatically generate some questions to go over the skills that the students need to complete this worksheet. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and click Add All and Close. Now, one thing I will tell you is I am not a math teacher, so I don't know how good a job it did on these. It titled it Algebra Adventures. That's funny. Sorry. Okay. So let's make sense of numbers and letters. Now, sometimes I got to tell you, I am not a big fan of just filler ones. So I'm going to delete that one. And it's super easy to go in and delete and change the media. And notice that a lot of these are just slides. So this is where you would bring this up and you would talk to the students. The great thing about this is if they're doing a Kahoot, they have Kahoot loaded on their phone because there will be times when it asks them questions. So this starts from the very beginning. What is algebra? Okay. Mixture of numbers. M is the variable. So this is teaching them what a variable is. And then the next question is, what is the variable in for y plus 12? And obviously the variable is y. It tells us the answer and it automatically set this up. Right now, one of the things that you'll notice is it's set up for a 20-second count on this. So I'm going to go to properties. 20 seconds is typically not long enough for our students in longer questions. Of course, I'm an English teacher, so a lot of times my questions require a lot of reading. I'm going to go ahead and set it to a minute. And that's pretty much my standard of like a short question where I put it, because you're always going to have some students who need a little bit longer. So we have quizzes, questions, we have slides. I wanted to point out they also incorporated some true or false. True or false. Oh, let me take away the properties. You can combine 3J and 4K. Obviously not, because they don't have like terms, okay? So let's simplify this expression. They talk about how to simplify, and there's another slide. Okay, I wanted to get to one where they had you simplify, and this one I feel like might take a few more steps, right? It's going to be 3C plus 11B. I did that pretty quick, but I'm going to go ahead and give them a minute for that one too. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and apply a minute to all the slides, okay? Now that is the time limit. If everyone in the class has answered, you can always click skip. And of course you can customize. I can go ahead and delete the picture that's here, and you always have to delete. And it can just be the basic Kahoot background, but I can also go to plus and add anything that I want. I'm just going to type in numbers. Actually, I'm going to type in variables. This is the test in me spelling, right? Oh, look, that's interesting. Okay. I was hoping for something kind of like that, right? And I'm going to use that as a background. I like that. Okay, you can change that. You don't need to. It really depends on how you feel about the aesthetics of it. You can just leave it as is. Now, one thing I did want to show you is they do even come up with the multiple question types, right? So what is the common factor in 7x plus 7y? This is a slider, so the students are actually going to put it on the number 7, right? So it does do those multiple questions. And if I'm happy with this, I'm just going to press save. And I have now made a Kahoot. Now, when I do this Kahoot, I would do it as a lecture. Okay. The lecture is still going to give you the reports. It just puts you more in control. It has a login screen, just like a regular Kahoot, where they can start. You click start, and you have the opportunity, and it doesn't go to the next slide until you tell it to. So you can talk about this. You can, have this up on your board and be doing this. And then at the same time, you can do the questions. So what is the variable in 4y plus 12? And that is, of course, y. It's not going to go to the question until I click start. So it gives me plenty of time to read the question, and then the students have time to answer, but I can always skip the timer. You also have the option in lecture mode to have a Q&A going on, so students can ask questions here if they have questions. You can disable new questions. You can also make it so that you manage the questions. Okay, so if they're saying things you don't want them to say, you do have those controls, okay? One thing that I do like to do is I like to turn the music and sound effects off. I know that some people really love them, but that music makes me stressed out, so I always turn it off. Anyway, I hope that you will take one of your course activities and try out and see what you get just by uploading it. Hope this helps. Have a great week.